What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin Davis. Today I have another honest review for you. If you want to get entered into our Tiny Hawk RTF drawing at the end of the month, as well as that Eachine trash can that we're giving away on the channel, please do become a Patreon on the channel. And that'll get you entered for this month's drawing and contest for the first week of February coming up. I'm going to send both those quads out to a lucky Patreon supporter on the channel. So download the Patreon app to your phone. You can find Drone Camps in there by doing a search for Drone Camps RC. $1 or more gets you on the Patreon feed. It's kind of like a private Facebook type feed behind the scenes for all the Drone Camp supporters, and everybody comes together as a community on there. We share chats right directly on the page. You can post on the community page. Once you have that downloaded to your phone, the Patreon app is super cool because you can also message me directly on there, and you can send me a message 24 hours a day. If you have a question about a build you're working on, or if you're just getting into FPV, this is a huge help to you. You can also download the Discord app, which is also right on your smartphone or your computer, and you can do live chats with me and others. We have conversations going on daily about different FPV news and things coming out. Also, the guys are there behind the scenes also to help you out with some of the other questions that you might have getting into the hobby. So let's get started with today's review. This is the Waytech Red Hare. Now, this turned out to be actually a pretty cool quad. I did do a minor upgrade to it, and this is kind of like one of those two-in-one type of reviews. The Runcam Robin just came out, and I believe it's up for pre-order. It might be full-on live right now. You might be able to buy it. It's around $25 micro racing cam, and this is a super low latency 6 millisecond camera with a pretty decent TVL. I think it's around 600 TVL, but if you're just getting into the hobby, if you see one of these orange cameras with that Runcam logo on there, you know it's going to be a good experience for you, because Runcam has a very good reputation, and it's a lot of times it's a good idea to take that stock camera off there and replace it with a Runcam. Now, if you want to see what some of the stock footage looks like for this 1200 TVL camera, it does look pretty decent, and this VTX goes all the way up to 600 milliwatts, so it's going to get you way out there as far as you want to go. But we're going to talk about some of the specifics about this quad. We're going to talk about the carbon frame. We're going to talk about the options for adding a GoPro on there. We'll talk about all of the bells and whistles that they threw into this one for the price, and at the end of this review, we'll give it a star rating. But right now, let's go ahead outside. Let's see what this one flies like. Line of sight first, as always. Then we'll do some FPV with it. I'll show you what a GoPro looks like on the GoPro couch right here. And I'll also show you what the new Runcam Robin looks like as well, full screen, so you can check that out for yourself and see how fast it is. It's actually a really fast camera. It's great. So here we go with the line of sight test and some FPV. After that, we'll come back to the bench. We'll talk about final thoughts about the Red Hare. All right, guys, I got it all set up. Let's go ahead and give it a little line of sight flight test with the stock props that it came with, the Gym fans. I also have some Cyclone 5150s that are gonna really reduce vibrations a lot if we need to. You can see the LEDs in the back pretty good. Sounds nice and quiet. That's a good sign. Flying in acro mode right now. Really nice hover. Those motors sound nice and smooth. Oh wow, pretty sweet boost. And this quad is supposed to get up around 95 miles an hour, so very nice acro. Look at that, super locked in. I don't hear a lot of vibrations. You can update this quad to the latest Betaflight and it'll fly even better. Betaflight 3.5. Look at that. Those LEDs are really helping today. Wow, crazy flips. Do you see how many times that went around? How many flips was that? I have no idea. Let's do some rainbows here. Up and over, back over. Let me bring it back over here before I put it in the trees. Hard to see a little far away on an overcast day. Super smooth. So this is looking really good. I think this one's gonna FPV just fine. I have that new Runcam Robin on there. We're gonna check that out as well. So it's gonna be kind of a two-in-one review today. Let's go ahead and put it on the ground and let's do some FPV, guys. I'll put my GoPro up top too, so you guys can see both the Robin and the GoPro footage. Here we go. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this quad up in the air. Now, this quad looks great on the bench. The frame looks nice. The components on here look solid. I love that it has a 600 milliwatt transmitter on here, and I think the stock camera is okay, but to make this review a little bit better value for you guys, a lot of racers want to see what the Robin looks like, so I'm going to show that full screen during this review. I'm also going to do some close proximity, close to the ground, high-speed stuff as well, and take some chances by kissing the ground a few times. But I want you guys to see how fast the camera is, and that's what this is all about. The race cams aren't going to be quite as good quality as your high-end freestyle cameras like the Foxeer Falcor or something like that. So the original Runcam Racer that came out late last year, I guess, it wasn't a huge crowd favorite, but it is with the racers. So it's a kind of a specialty camera. So my GoPro Hero 7 looks pretty good, even though it's like an overcast day, and I'm feeling like the quad is pretty locked in. This is my first battery, so I'm just kind of feeling it out, feeling what the throttle's like with the GoPro on board. If you guys fly with a GoPro, keep in mind that it's going to feel a lot heavier than if you weren't flying the GoPro. It's almost like flying a different quad. The power to weight ratio goes way down. You're going to need a lot more throttle to recover from some of your high big air maneuvers coming back down to the ground. If you like to kind of come back down and kiss the ground, you got to watch out for that little extra momentum when you're coming back down with the GoPro on there. But I feel like it's getting pretty locked in. I don't see any type of prop wash in the flying. When I come back around from some pretty hard maneuvers back through the prop wash, it feels pretty good. Now I'm starting to feel the low to the ground locked in aspect of the flight controller. It seems like it's doing a pretty good job. I can see the ghost branches pretty good with this camera. There are some laying on the ground that have fallen out of the trees. There's some pretty good wind here last week, so there are some down there, and I kissed a couple of them a few times, but not the greatest place to crash right now because there is some good mud out there and some really nice deep mud puddles. But it feels pretty locked in. And now I'm on my second battery. Feeling a little better with the quad now. This is one of those quads that you're going to pull out of the box, and the tune on it is going to be pretty decent. Seems like this might be a version 2 from the original version that came out about 6 months ago. We do have a little later beta flight on here. It feels fairly locked in. You can update it to the latest grade of beta flight 3.5 and it'll fly even better. And as testing would normally go, I'm using the stock props on here. The ones that came in the box, the 5152s from GymFan. You know, they're not my favorite prop in the world. I do like the Cyclones 5051s better, but I'm flying the GoPro on it right now, and I wanted that extra oomph. So if you want extra oomph and you want extra punch, you need more power, go with a higher pitch prop. If you're looking for a longer flight time, go with something like that 5150 prop from Dalprop. The Cyclone 5150 is a great low pitch prop and a very thin cord. So you're going to get a little better efficiency out of your battery. But it all depends on your flying style, and all of us fly different. So I wanted to show you that Runcam Robin full screen. It's a little bit grainy. I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit grainy. The color seems decent even on a dark day. And I have the VTX cranked all the way down to 25 milliwatt just to show you guys what the range on 25 is like. Some of the guys recently were asking me, oh well, I can't really fly more than a football field away. My quad is really giving me a lot of static, and a lot of times these quads are defaulted to 25 milliwatt. So if you see that, get into your VTX's instruction manual and go ahead and get your VTX cranked up to your maximum output around 600. Hopefully you have 600. 600 is kind of like the big VTX standard. If you go 800 milliwatt, then you're looking at something a little bit medium range. 1K and over is going to get you out there for miles. So 25 milliwatt is usually what a lot of multi-GP racers are using at the races. So that's one big reason why I'm showing you guys what this camera looks like on 25 milliwatt. So if you are at a race, you can expect to see something like this. But I think the frame rate is looking pretty good. It's pretty snappy, low to the ground. It almost looks like completely real time, and you can't really tell until I get really close to the ground how fast this camera actually is on 6 milliseconds. 6 milliseconds is actually so fast that your eye is not supposed to be able to see it because it's under 60 hertz, and the average computer monitor out there is around 60 hertz because the naked eye can't see faster than that. We don't see that many frame rates. So it's looking pretty good. I'm feeling like this quad is capable, and if you wanted to use it as a freestyle quad or a race quad, it would absolutely be just fine for either one. I like that big flat top that it has on there for the GoPro, and this battery I'm actually flying it without the GoPro because I wanted you guys to see this camera full screen and full view here. I want you guys to see what this camera was all about, low to the ground on this battery, and I'm able to have way more control without the GoPro on there. So I can find those lines and almost kiss that pole. That would have been really bad right there. If you hit a metal pole going full bore, you're probably going to break an arm or a frame or something. I've hit goalposts. Soccer goalposts are probably the most notorious thing to hit with a race quad. These things can be brutal. They will destroy your quad, as well as concrete. There's no crying about how durable something is when you hit something like that. All the durability factors go out the window. If you crash it in the grass and it breaks, well, you probably had some compromise of the frame there. We're looking pretty good. This frame feels really nice. The power system is good. The 2306 motors are humming. Feels really smooth. And right there, I found my ghost branch. Unbelievably, I was able to recover from that. Just one of those lucky days. And I did crash it over in the soccer field earlier. I came down from a big dive with a GoPro on there and kissed the grass and just rolled and never recovered. And my GoPro flew off. But the good thing is that it came back in one piece. I didn't even break a prop. And the frame is still intact. Got a little bit of mud on it, but it's okay to fly again. And I gotta say, I had a good time with this frame flying it and this power combo. I think that 600 milliwatts, you're really gonna enjoy that VTX. And if you want to upgrade to a faster camera, you can try out this Robin, or you can go for the Foxy or Falcor if you want a really nice, rich looking FPV camera. So let's go back in the studio now and take a closer look. Alright guys, welcome back from the flight test. So what did you think? What did you think about the Red Hare? Do you think it was more of a race quad or more of a freestyle quad? I tend to think this one's actually kind of a hybrid of both because it did track really, really well. I was able to pull some really nice tight lines with this quad, even like close to a foot or less off the ground, and really hold that throttle as I was going super fast around some of those turns. I do feel like it slipped out a little bit in some of the corners, but that is also because I haven't flown a whole lot this week. It's been raining a lot, and sometimes I just don't quite fly as good when I haven't flown for a little bit. But I think that the quad is quite durable. I did take some pretty hardcore tumbles a few times, and it has an odd X configuration shape. Almost looks like the old school frog frame. It does have around 5mm arms with what look to be like 3mm or 3.5mm top and bottom plates here, which is very courteous of them to do that. You have two plates down bottom sandwiching in the arms, replaceable arms front and back. You do get this little rubber tacky stick-on 3M piece right here, which I normally recommend Velcro, and you also see that I used a different strap. This is one of the iFlight straps with the metal buckle. That's what I like to use if I'm using a 4S 1300, mainly because, well, the stock strap that came along with it is just not that great. It's not really going to hold on a 4S 1300 battery in a crash. Alright guys, I've got the scale zeroed out. Let's just go ahead and get a dry weight. That means with no battery on there. So we're at 315.4 grams. It's actually a lot lighter than I thought it was. With this larger and thicker frame, I would expect that it would be in upwards of 350 grams without a battery. So let's go ahead and put the standard 4S 1300 battery on there with it and see what kind of takeoff weight we get. So now we're at 479.1 grams, which is super competitive for a freestyle and race quad. Under 500 grams for a 5-inch race quad. It's actually pretty good around the 479.1 gram mark. Let's go ahead and set the GoPro Hero 7 on there. And it's quite muddy from the field test. So yeah, that gets us up there just under 600 grams at 593.9 grams total takeoff weight there with the RunCam Robin on board. That's actually looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and talk about some final thoughts about the Red Hare. I think it's worth the price because I turned it on, I put the RunCam Robin on there, and everything seemed to work. When I came up in my line of sight flight test and the motor sounded as smooth as they did, I knew that I had a pretty decent quad here. and that I didn't need to do any tuning on it, which is what a lot of you guys are looking for. After you go through the entire Betaflight setup and you're setting up your modes and switches, I know some of the new guys, it can be a little bit challenging for you guys. And once you finally get it all set up, and then the first time you go fly it and it flies terrible and it has vibrations, that's a huge disappointment to you. And I understand that it takes hours for some people to get a quad set up and finally all the motors working right and turning the right directions and all that good stuff. The good news about this one is that once I did have it set up in Betaflight, my switches, all I had to do was just put the props on it the right direction and take it out and do my line of sight flight test. And I didn't hear any vibes in the punch out. I didn't hear any vibes in the beginning stages of my throttle. So it did perform better than expected. And you know, sometimes with these quads coming out of China, I never know what I'm pulling out of the box or what to expect. You know, it's a complete mystery sometimes. And I think this one has its quirks, just like all of them do out there. If you get a quad in the mail, you might experience some quirks with almost anything you buy. And I've been telling this to people recently that we're kind of dogging some of the cheaper ones out there. You know, I've had some come here on the channel that were super dirt cheap, around the $100 price point, and perform just as good as a $300 quad, if not better than some of them. And I've also had really expensive quads come in and just totally eat crap the first time I took it out. So, you know, it's kind of like buying a car. When you get something new, you never really know how it's going to perform until you really had it out and tested it in real life situation. And that's why these reviews are good, because you can really see what's going on with the quad, what you might have to fix or tune up and things like that. So overall performance rating, I guess I'm going to have to say somewhere around a 4.3 as far as performance. It's not the most powerful quad out there. So if you're looking for something that has a very high speed, around 95 miles an hour, it's not an over 100 mile an hour quad. It's not totally balls to the wall crazy. It can be slowed down a lot if you just back off the throttle a little bit. But like a Ferrari or a sports car, if you need the throttle, it's there if you want it. So you can go mild to wild with this quad. Now, durability factor, I'm going to say that the durability factor on this one has to be about a 5.0, because 5 stars for the durability. I really smacked this quad around, and I almost hit a couple trees with it, which would have been really interesting to see if these sort of curved arms held up and didn't buckle in the crash. And my overall star rating for this one is going to be around, I'd say around a 4.2 total star rating for this one. Right around 4 stars to 4.2 stars. Taking off maybe that vertical mount back there. Let me see what else. The camera I wasn't a big fan of. Some people like the camera, but I wanted to just switch it out. And there's also no buzzer on here, so I took a couple points off for no buzzer. But I do like that it has a flat top. It has these aluminum standoffs down on the sides. And the camera protection could also be a little bit better here. I think they could have recessed that a little more, maybe brought the carbon fiber out just a little bit further maybe. But you can get plenty of camera tilt, and it's optionally versatile for a full-size camera, or if you want to run a micro cam like the new Robin, you can do that with this frame. And I think that's actually pretty cool. You have plenty of options, and the option to mount a GoPro up there. So I think it's a pretty decent quad. And if you're considering getting one, this is a competitor to the Hawk 5s all day, because it really does fly locked in and really, really good on the new Betaflight. So thanks again for watching my reviews, guys, and an honest opinion of the red hair. Don't forget to make your comment down below and become a Patreon if you'd like to on the channel. I'm Justin Davis. Take care, guys. I'll see you on the next one.